So here's a keyboard you wouldn't expect from a company that's in the $150 range. It's the Hermes P2 from Gamdias, or Gamdias. I don't know what the proper pronunciation is, but they typically make inexpensive PC peripherals, more tailored towards gaming and PC gaming in general, but they're usually in the inexpensive side. So what makes this worth $150 and brings up the age-old question, is it worth it? And what is a company that makes inexpensive PC peripherals doing, making a $150 keyboard? Let's see if it truly is worth it. Hey, what's up guys? My name is JD from JDTechGear and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different and we're just kind of freestyling this review. So this is the Hermes P2 keyboard from Gamdias and it's $150. So I'm going to go over what I think makes it worth $150 and what I think maybe detracts from that price. So I'm going to go over some of the bad first, because you always say, oh, give me the good news or the bad news. Which one do you want first? Let me do the bad news first. So bad news is, comes with the rest rest. That's great, but it doesn't detach. And for $150, you're kind of paying for versatility in a keyboard, something that gives you options. Another thing is there's no USB pass-through, which isn't a huge thing. I don't necessarily need it, but I know a lot of people ask for them on keyboards. Another thing is that there's no cable routing on the bottom of the keyboard. I see these on much cheaper keyboards, and the fact that it's not an $150 keyboard kind of makes it a little lackluster for me. Another thing is the over-aggressive nature of the front side of the keyboard. Now, you don't usually see it when you're typing, obviously, but it's there. I don't know if it's really going to matter, but it's a little overly aggressive for me. It's not a huge deal, but I know to some people who are actually paying $150 for these keyboards, this might be something you want to consider when looking at it. Now, some of the things it does do very well is the keycap quality is absolutely outstanding. Also, another thing on top of that, I mean, of course they're double molded, but I don't know if it's PBT plastic or it's ABS plastic. Doesn't say anywhere, so I don't know. Also, this uses optical switches, which is a huge marketing and selling point to this, and I probably should have mentioned that a lot earlier in the beginning of this video. Yeah, it uses optical switches. So there's only a couple of keyboard manufacturers that actually make keyboards using an optical switch, like Bloody Gaming, which I've reviewed plenty of their keyboards on the channel. If you want to check those out, that'll be listed in the card somewhere. Optical switches are they just are superior to regular mechanical switches because of the latency and just the sheer response time that you get from these things. They make all their switches supposedly because there's no listed switch type on here. It's just a blue mechanical switch, but they do make the switches. Another thing is that you can remove the switches from the keyboard in case you want to replace it with their brown switches. The thing about optical switches is that they're usually found on premium keyboards. They're usually on higher end keyboards, and it makes it kind of expensive. But that's okay as long as the rest of the keyboard is just really high quality all around, so it's not just the switches that you're paying for. Another thing I like is the rigidity of this keyboard. It's incredibly rigid. I have some B-roll up here. I'm like hitting it against the table. I'm trying to twist it. Even though it doesn't look like I'm twisting it, I'm trying to. It's because there's a pretty thick sheet of metal on the top of the keyboard. And I'm like even karate chopping the keyboard and I just can't twist it. I mean, look, I'm trying to twist it and I can't even bend it. It's ridiculously rigid. There's also a lot of plastic on the bottom. I don't really mind it. I mean, my Corsair Strafe is a $100 keyboard, although it's probably gone down since I bought it. It's probably around $80, but the majority of that keyboard is just plastic. But having the nice thick sheet of metal on top does make it really rigid. Also, a really nice thing about this keyboard is the scroll wheel. There's a little scroll wheel that you have up at the top right hand corner, which controls all your volume, and it's just beautiful to have. And you know, a lot of people like these things and I'm starting to really fall in love with it. The rubber feet on the bottom of this keyboard are really nice. If you see in the B-roll, I'm trying to push it across my Le Mans desk. It's really hard. It's really difficult. The feet are very grippy, so it makes it really nice for not sliding anywhere. You do have raised feet that you can flip up, but there's already a natural raised profile to the keyboard. Also, the keystroke life is pretty high. It's about 50 million keystrokes. Yeah, keystroke life is 50 million. Although on the Bloody keyboards, which I think the B975 is $150, and also an optical keyboard is somewhere like $100 million because they overhauled all their switches. Still, this is a nice alternative. All the keycaps have like a matte black coating on top, which is really nice, and nothing is glossy or shiny, so it's got a nice stealthy look to it. I always like matte coated keycaps. It's really nice. Also, you got RGBs, of course. Why wouldn't you have RGBs? You can turn them off if you want. Not a big deal. You do have hotkeys on the top of the keyboard over here with the insert home, page up, page down, and delete button. Those are all the hotkeys for all your different RGB functionalities. Or you can use the P2 Hermes software. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just use the keyboard switches. But is this worth $150? It's hard because I really like optical switches. Optical switches are absolutely fantastic. And the fact that GameDeus is making their own switches, I believe, is really nice as well. So when they make these things in-house, it really shows a company that's caring about their product and quality. But does that make this worth $150? For me, I would lower the price just a little bit, just because there's no USB pass-through, there's no cable routing holes on the bottom of the keyboard, and there's no detachable wrist rest. Otherwise, this thing is pretty well built all around, a very solid keyboard, and it sounds fantastic and feels fantastic. I'll throw up a clip for you just to see how it sounds. Yeah, so those are blue switches. Obviously, they're clickety-clackety, and it's also easy to switch out the switches in case you use the WASD keys a lot and you want to put brown switches in there so you're not always hearing the clicking and the clacking. You can do that as well. Overall, a very nice keyboard. I would lower the price a little bit, but I could see how this can appeal to people for $150. Me personally, I would probably pay $120 for it. That's my overall conclusive review. I hope you guys all enjoyed this review and kind of the freestyle that I had going on here. If you guys want more videos like this one, consider subscribing, checking out the rest of the channel. Also, I have a couple new updates coming to the channel soon. Hopefully, I'm going to get it out before my trip to E3. So that's going to be really fun, and I'm going to have an announcement for that. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.